What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Been a while since I've done one of these videos, but judging from the feedback of the last couple Philadelphia Eagle player grade videos, you guys enjoy it. Because Eagle fans, you can kind of rally around me. Maybe I'm voice of the people, and non-Eagle fans like seeing Eagle fans frustrated, so it kind of is the best of both worlds. We're going to talk today about how to fix the Philadelphia Eagles as we're sitting here at 2-2, and we're sitting here as our defense collapsed and cost us the game against Tampa, and even worse, that overtime 4th and 15, 3rd and 19, 4th and 2 in overtime against the Titans. They had, in reality, 3 times just to end the game, and defense fell short. And it's that loss against the Tennessee Titans, knowing that Philly is the better team, that's what makes it that much worse. So before we jump into the defense and talk about, is it Jim Schwartz, is it Jalen Mills, is it a combination of both, we quickly do need to brush on the offense. This is an offense that has an MVP caliber quarterback that's starting. I would say that going into Minnesota, the rust has been knocked off of Carson Wentz. We saw Alshon Jeffrey come back in the offense without missing a beat. Remind everyone that he is a fringe, if not a legit top 10 wide receiver. Definitely, in my opinion, a top 10 wide receiver in this offense. And, you know, when I say that, people are like, oh, my God, all these other guys are better. But some of these other guys, when you rank your top 10 players, they don't make everyone else around them better. They don't make or break that offense. They are just a key piece or a luxury piece of an offense. But a guy like Alshon makes everyone else's job that much easier. And he has those intangibles that certain other players that might have more talent than Alshon don't bring. And in my opinion, in Philly's offense, Alshon is a top 10 valuable wide receiver. But the offensive line's not playing particularly well. Could it be the switch from Carson Wentz to Nick Foles, where Nick Foles, you needed to go do or die to protect the pocket, where you have Carson Wentz back there? It's overcomplicating things. Like, the offensive line's like, all right, is he scrambling? Is he doing some of his magic stuff? You know, maybe that's the only thing I can kind of explain why guys like Jason Peters, guys like Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks are not off to the Jason Kelsey, are not off to the hottest start when all those guys are top 5, top 10 offensive linemen at their respective positions. That's the only thing. I think it's just a chemistry thing, and there's too much talent there for the offensive line not to, you know, get it all together and start, putting up really, really impressive performances and protecting our quarterback. And everything else on the offense looks pretty good. But the fact that this very prolific offense, an offense that you would think on paper, when healthy, is a top 5 offense in the league, we have yet to score 30 points. The most points we put up actually was last week against Tennessee, 23. So it's not good enough. We have had a lot of injuries on offense. Jay, Alshon Jeffrey, Matt Collins, Mike Walt. Like, we've missed most of our skill position players up until this point. But I think going into Minnesota, that's not an excuse anymore. Everyone should be back. Everyone's chemistry should be good. And this offense, I'm expecting to start rolling. This is going to be an interesting game against Minnesota because both our defenses are not playing well. So it's going to be probably what offense can influence and impose their will as much. And we need to see Philly do that. But now we got to turn to the defensive side, because that is where I kind of want to talk about it, because I have some stuff that this is one of those things. I understand that there's a lot of Eagle fans, a lot of smart Eagle fans, and I like to consider myself a member of that group. But this is like one of those ones that I'm just like, I feel like, why is what I'm saying, why is my opinion that clearly seems so ideal not being talked about from people like the beat reporters that can actually press these questions to Doug Peterson, can press these questions to Jim Schwartz? And usually the Philly media, they're very fanish. You know, the Philadelphia media is not biased. They don't take any shots off. They're going to light up Doug Peterson at the press conferences, and I usually respect them for it, but they have not been asking the questions that need to be asked. And first and foremost is not necessarily Jalen Mills, because we already know Jalen Mills is a target. Jalen Mills is the kind of guy, I think Doug Peterson in Monday's press conference came out and said if Doug Peterson was looking at the Philadelphia's defense as an offensive mind, he would be targeting Jalen Mills as well, because he's on an island. And it sounded like he was kind of saying, well, Jalen Mills, we know about him. Jalen Mills is a good tackler. He has good intangibles. He's a good leader. He's obviously brings some swagger to the defense. But that, you know, you kind of want those things on your defense. You want your defense to be very confident. But the fact that he's on an island doesn't suit his skill set as a corner. And in reality, you know, my opinion, Jalen Mills is nothing more than a safety playing corner. So hearing that kind of seems like Doug is kind of saying we need to change the play calling. That is kind of coming on Jim Schwartz. But we'll get to that in just one second. So what we found out against Tennessee is we saw rookie nickelback, undersized. He's going to be a slot corner. That is his role. Avonte Maddox, who got an interception. It was a really nice interception. Good return. He was playing safety. He played safety in that game. And he came out after that game and said he's never played safety in his life before. He worked out a couple times in practice before the Titans game, and that's where they had him playing, in there with Corey Graham, rotations, all that stuff. So finding out that there's a player that's never played safety before, playing at the safety spot when he's not built any way, shape, or form to be a safety, and then looking at someone like Jalen Mills, who has all the positive traits of a safety, has actually played safety before at LSU, why they're not making that switch, again, comes on Jim Schwartz. Now, that's something that a lot of the beat writers and smart Eagle fans have been saying, is that you can't just take Jalen Mills from corner to safety because he didn't practice that. He didn't work on that in the offseason. It'd be unfathomable to expect a player that's never played a certain position to move. Well, that's exactly what they did with Avonte Maddox, so why be afraid to pull that trigger with Jalen Mills, who actually has a lot of traits that could be a upgrade maybe over what we had in Rodney McLeod. And at the very least, if you move Jalen Mills there to safety, we're not going to have to experience the Corey Graham as a starter anymore when he just let that. He cost us the game. Let's be completely honest. Corey Graham cost us that game against the Tennessee Titans. It's not 100%. I'm going to say it's 80% Corey Graham, 20% the play call from Jim Schwartz. But letting that guy go wide open when you're doing that picket line defense where you just give them the full, keep them in front of you, right? And he let one guy get behind him. He had one guy to worry about. I mean, Corey Graham was all right at being that third safety. You know, he could do what Philly needed him to do. He can make tackles in the backfield. He can cover screen passes. But having him be in a full-on safety is not going to work. And I firmly believe moving Jalen Mills to safety, understanding that Philly does not have this kind of mentality of, oh, they've never played safety before, we can't put them there, because we saw that with Avonte Maddox. If they're willing to do that kind of move, it makes complete sense to do that. Now, another thing that the Smart Eagle fans are saying is like, well, if you keep shuffling all these guys around in the defense, it's like musical chairs. You know, it's not like Madden where you can just move a guy to a spot and they'll pick it up. That's also a null point because you're moving one guy. If you had to shift everyone over, like you're taking Sidney Jones from nickel, moving him outside, you're taking someone else and putting them in the nickel, and you're switching this safety around, you're switching the third safety around, then it'll be like, all right, yeah, maybe that's a little too much. You know, maybe wait for the bye. The bye week will be sometime when you install that. This is literally moving one guy to safety and then moving a corner that a lot of people think should be getting playing time in Rasul Douglas to the corner spot. That is one chair, one musical chair move, because you look at everywhere. Anytime someone wants to defend not moving Jalen Mills, it's like, oh, you don't want to have too many moving pieces and all this stuff. It's one move. It's one move, and he's not getting the job done at corner. It's not like, oh no, moving Jalen Mills from a spot that, it's not like he's balling out. He had one good game for Pro Football Focus, and Pro Football Focus is stupid most of the time. Pro Football Focus only helps when you're talking about offensive linemen and why Fletcher Cox is underrated. If you want to look at corner, eye test. Again, don't need to bring in numbers, don't need to bring in stats. Just the eye test. Teams are ganging up on Jalen Mills, and it's working. And if Jim Schwartz is not going to move this whole, we're going to keep our corners out on islands, you have to move Jalen Mills. And we all know Jalen Mills is Jim Schwartz's boy, and Jim Schwartz is ride or die. It feels like Jim Schwartz would rather get fired than move Jalen Mills from corner to safety. But that's, you know, Doug Pearson's head coach. Dougie came on the press conference, and he actually said Jalen Mills by name. Maybe wasn't what all us Eagle fans wanted to hear, but you need to move that man to safety. And the pipe dream of Earl Thomas becoming a trade target for the Philadelphia Eagles is gone. Look, he broke his leg. You know, moving Rasul Douglas to safety, I don't think that's the ideal option. I think if you're talking about moving a corner, if Rasul Douglas is in the conversation of moving from corner to safety, how Jalen Mills is getting overlooked first for that move is beyond me. Now, I don't know if I already stated this, but I'm a fan of Jalen Mills. Like I said, he has certain traits, certain aspects that you love to have in a defensive player. But he is a safety playing corner, and he needs to go back home right now when Rodney McLeod's out, and he needs to take over that safety spot, play there with Malcolm Jenkins. And that could be great long term, because Rodney McLeod's contract is kind of ugly. If Jalen Mills can move to safety right now, turn it around and become a very impactful player, we can get on from Rodney McLeod's contract and, you know, maybe chunk that money towards re-signing Jordan Hicks or helping us re-sign Nelson Aguilar or forward push it to Carson Wentz's big-time contract. You know what I'm saying? So the only other thing that does need to be addressed is Rasul Douglas. If we're going on the assumption that they make the correct decision, understanding the market, maybe Tyvon Branch could be coming as a safety, but ideally, if they can move Jalen Mills to safety, you keep Sidney Jones at nickel. Unfortunately, I would love to see Sidney Jones on the outside, but then I have to kind of come into the whole too many moving pieces. Keep Sidney Jones where he's been really good at nickel. We saw with Patrick Robinson last year, a good nickel is valuable to this defense. You have Ronald Darby on the other side. Yeah, he has tackling limitations, but he's the best cover corner we have. Then you have on the other outside Rasul Douglas. And Rasul Douglas is a guy that every time he comes on, he seems like he makes a play. But if the issue is Jalen Mills' speed, if it comes down to Jalen Mills being exposed on an island because of his lack of speed, and that's why I need to win the safety, Rasul Douglas probably is as fast as Jalen Mills. Now, in regards to being a ball hawk, the technique, that's up to debate. We'd probably have to give the edge to Rasul, but you know, it's one of those things where I think Rasul has, unless he's so bad at practice that none of us Eagle fans can really see, unless Rasul's getting burnt constantly left, right, and center at practice, and Jim Schwartz can say, well, if Jalen's getting beat deep and that's his problem, Rasul's got to get beat even worse. So there's that chance that that's the issue, but I feel like how bad is Rasul Douglas in practice that he's not getting reps over a guy that is the weak link and is exposed as the weak link of our defense. So for me, I think that Jim Schwartz, it comes down to, do we fire Jim Schwartz, right? Jim Schwartz's defense on the road is pathetic. His defense in the Super Bowl was pathetic, but his defense at the home is awesome. His defense at home is exactly what you want to see in the Philadelphia Eagles defense. And while I think he definitely, at the end of this year, if that trend continues, that his defense is night and day different from home and away, that's a serious question you need to have with yourselves. But his defense is so good at home that I don't understand, or I don't really see right now any value in firing him. But if he's going to die on his sword of keeping Jalen Mills outside at corner, and for the rest of the year, teams just keep exposing that, and he's not giving him safety help, and he's keeping him out on the island, you know, the question might have to come down to Jim Schwartz. If Jim Schwartz is too stubborn to make that move from Jalen Mills to safety and have someone else go at corner, I mean, there's no helping him. There's no helping him. I don't know if Jalen Mills has dirt on Jim Schwartz or something like that, but you know, Jim Schwartz is a guy a lot of us enjoy watching. We like his game plans at home, but it feels like on the road, man, he will never make adjustments, and he's stuck in his ways. And you know, we've come a long way from the defenses of Billy Davis, where 3rd and 1,000,000, you still felt like the other team was going to convert. But something desperately needs to change on the defensive side, or else, man, it's going to be an absolute struggle. I still think, even with this whack defense, we probably could still win the NFC East. But to expect to go in and compete with high-powered offenses like the Saints and the Rams, and you know, we'll find out against the Vikings this week, especially with Diggs and Thielen at wide receiver. Oh man, something we need to change. I'm just thinking about that. Diggs and Thielen going up and picking on Jalen Mills. That is not going to be fun. So I mean, we do have to wait and see. But that is my suggestion. That is my rebuttal to the other smart Eagle fans that suggest not moving Jalen Mills. I think I made an all right case. What do you guys think the Philadelphia Eagles should do moving forward with the defensive side of the ball? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, your first time stopping by, Eagle fans in particular, make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash the like button if you agree with my opinion of moving Jalen Mills. But that'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you for watching, and until next time, it's C4 saying peace